What up, everybody? I hope everybody's enjoying the week. I know that I am, and you probably look at the title and you know what the topic's about. But before we get into that, I actually received a few questions, actually a couple of questions from my last video. So I wanted to address those now. The first one I actually got through Messenger. When I first saw the name, I thought it was Craft Customs, K for Craft and K for Customs. However, when I looked at it, it's KRZTFR. So I don't want to butcher the name or mispronounce it. I do apologize, but K Customs, he sent me the following question. He said, "Hey Steve, I was watching your latest video and you were talking about still feeling the call to entertain. I'm sure you probably already thought about this, but what about evolving your character from wrestler to manager or a kayfabe authority figure, and on the rare and special occasions bring out the wrestling boots?" Well, that is a good question. I have thought about that to some degree. That was one of my earlier exit strategies, was to evolve the character from performer or wrestler to manager. And I had actually talked to my friend Cash, Killa Cash, especially when he was doing ACW. He still is, but at one point he was traveling back and forth saying, "Man, I wish I had a road trip buddy." I was like, "Hey man, I wouldn't mind going." And I think it was when I was injured, we had started talking about the possibility of me being kind of like a Paul Heyman type, but being Steve DeMarco and being his manager. And my girl has talked about training at one point. I said, "Well, you ever train, you make your debut, maybe I can be your manager, or possibly managing a stable or something like that." So I've thought about it. There's always an issue, you know, managers don't get a lot of love on the indies. You have to be established, you have to establish yourself somewhere. I figured with my name value possibly, you know, coming in, or being an authority like a GM or a host. I wouldn't mind hosting. I've done that on occasions. So yeah, I've thought about it. It would be cool. And like anything, even with performing, if the opportunity arises, I would love to be a part of that. I would give it some serious thought. So the other one came from a friend of mine who had sent me the following question in relation to one of my videos from John Cameron. He had said, "With the return of Gustavo, in your opinion, should he regain control of Team International and try for a return to dominance, or is it the perfect opportunity for each talent to branch out and establish themselves?" Now, for those who don't know, Gustavo Mendoza did return to Reality Wrestling after about a year away. He had lost the steel cage match, lost the Reality Wrestling heavyweight title, but also the match stipulation was the loser of the match would have to leave Reality Wrestling. Through some loophole, he was able to come back. Now, for those who don't know Team International, you can go to the YouTube channel and see some of Reality Wrestling's earlier work, and you can see the dominance at that point. Team International was an extremely dominant faction. They ran roughshod over Reality Wrestling. Each member held gold. X and Aiden Cristiano held the tag team titles. You had Sergey Volkov, who's now Rex Andrews. He held the television title, and you had, of course, Gustavo Mendoza holding the heavyweight title. Gustavo was the leader, and you know, he ran that group, and they were dominant. I would say it would be cool. You know, again, I don't know what his particular intention is of returning. His return was a shock to everyone. I mean, I had talked to him. He didn't sound like he was coming back at any point. So I'm curious as to why he returned, but he immediately focused on Rex Andrews, who was Sergey Volkov, was a big part of Team International, and so I think they're in the midst of something, and those who've seen the live shows as well as the tapings are well aware of of what's going on there. Those that have seen the TV product are well aware that Gustavo's return. I know the YouTube channel's catching up to what the Cube airs. I think they're trying to catch up episode-wise. So, yeah, man, I mean, I'm not really sure. On the one hand, it would be cool to see the team reformed only to see how they would fare today, in today's climate of reality wrestling, when certain companies were invading or trying to be part of reality wrestling, whether it be Wildcat Sports or Pro Wrestling Syndicate. I thought that would have been a great opportunity for Team International to form. The idea of seeing them versus the Legion, who's now one of the dominant stables, if not the only stable within reality wrestling. You know, if anyone could reform the group, Gustavo could. In my opinion, I don't know. I kind of like to see what the guys can do on their own. I mean, Rex has really flourished once he broke away from the group. I believe Aiden, you know, he stayed kind of on par, and they brought in Parviz, who seems to have formed a tandem with X. So it's interesting to see what these guys can do. And you know, Reina and Aiden at one point were a duo, and I think they've kind of gone their separate ways. So it should be interesting. It will be interesting. I would like to see the team. Well, I say that only because from an entertainment standpoint, they were a really good group. At the same time, I had my run-ins with them, and you know, it would not be fun for any member of the roster because they come in, you know, full force and whatnot. But it would be interesting. It would be interesting. But at the same time, I think for each performer, they get the chance to grow and kind of get the spotlight put on themselves as opposed to the team aspect. So I don't know. I like to see what they're doing now. So yeah. Now a little bit of business before I get into the topic. Comicpalooza is coming up in about a week. I will be changing my cover photo on Facebook, probably on both pages here in the next couple of days. But I will be part of a panel Friday, May 22nd at 2:30 p.m. If you go to Comicpalooza, they'll probably have a write-up about it. Again, you can probably look on my page and you'll see probably my cover photo has changed, and you'll see the information there. I'll be joined by Tex Lone Star and John David Guetta. Our moderator, I believe, is Aaron Garcia. Our panel is at 2:30 p.m. May 22nd. So if you're at Comicpalooza and would like to see what our panel is going to be discussing, and the topic of our discussion will be storytelling with pro wrestling as a medium. So the opportunity to talk not just pro wrestling, but talk storytelling and characters and all that. Man, it's right up my alley, and I'm really appreciative of being asked to be a participant in the panel. But if you have any questions and you're at Comicpalooza, man, just feel free to come check us out. You know, I'm sure we'll have a Q&A period, so feel free to, you know, come and have your questions be answered. Speaking of Comicpalooza, Reality of Wrestling will be having a couple, I think about 3 television tapings, separate television tapings that weekend, Saturday and Sunday specifically, 3 separate tapings. You go to realitywrestling.com or go to the ROW app for more details. But yeah, I think it's I want to say the 23rd and 24th are the dates. I believe 1 taping on the 23rd and 2 tapings on the 24th. But go to realitywrestling.com or download the ROW app. Yes, they have an app. Loads of information on there. I know the show will probably have plenty of surprises, it being Comicpalooza. I'm sure it's going to be loads and loads of fun. So be on the lookout. So, you know, the topic of this is a bit of advice. But before that, real quick, you know, I had thought about putting out videos before. There were other topics that would have wanted to talk about, like Payback, my thoughts on it, especially about the criticism that was received, some of my thoughts overall. Yeah, I really liked the Ziggler Sheamus match. Ziggler bringing the fight, I thought really great. Really enjoyed the tag team match. The titles going to the New Day. I really like how that group's evolving and what they're becoming, and they look like they're really embracing it. And I'm a big fan of Kid Cesaro. I really like their dynamic as a team. I think they're really embracing their roles as well. Outside of that, I really am a big fan lately of the U.S. Open Challenge. John Cena's U.S. Open Challenge. I think it's a really good opportunity for guys to get looked at, to get seen. And people can say what they want about John. I think anybody gets in the ring with him in this and gets that opportunity to face him for the U.S. title is really getting an opportunity to shine. You look at the guys that have had that opportunity, from Stardust to Barrett to Neville. Lately, I really enjoyed Neville and John Cena. I'm a big fan of Neville's work, and it was really good to see him and John Cena lock horns. At the same time, man, just awesome. And Sami Zayn, getting to see Sami Zayn. Speaking of Sami Zayn, I hope his recovery goes well. It's really it's a shame, the timing of it, and the timing for like Hideo Itami with a shoulder injury. The guys who are getting shoulder injuries, it's tough for those guys. I thought about talking about Mayweather Pacquiao, but the truth was that I didn't get the fight. I waited. I waited in large part because I'm like, well, HBO or Showtime will eventually show it, and I really wasn't too keen on if the fight was going to live up to the hype. Rarely do those fights live up to the hype. But I had my team stream, my Bleacher Report team stream. I had that app, and heard the loads of criticism, the criticism that's continuing. Everyone that's talking about it, and the truth is, it is what it is. I saw some of the fight because I did watch the Canelo Kirkland fight. That fight, wow! I mean, Canelo, man. I'm not necessarily the biggest boxing fan, but anytime you see a knockout and the way the knockout, and from like the first round where it looked like Kirkland was going to stay down, and then he was able to like fight back and try to give it a go, and man, but there's so much. I could have talked about Avengers because I saw it opening weekend, and I could talk about my views on it. The truth was that I was immediately a fan from the opening scene, and just got lost in the universe. A lot of times with any form of entertainment, if there's source material and you're a fan of the source material, comic books or books or whatever, there's always that desire to want to see it be like what you're familiar with. And when it doesn't fall with that, I mean, I had ideas, I knew the origin of Ultron, so on and so forth, and the idea of it being different, it could have given me a reason to not enjoy the movie, but I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really well done. I thought character development, all that. I mean, the movie, all in all, was a live-action cartoon, and I was just blown away by it. I try to, even if I love the characters, like the Joker, or Batman, or Superman, or Spider-Man, or Wolverine, or even Deadpool. I mean, I try my best to have an open mind, whether it be The Walking Dead, Powers, any of it. I try to have an open mind with it. I try to put myself in the shoes of the person creating that story and being given the opportunity to interpret the source material the way they want to and tell the story they want to, or create a universe that they want to create. Not everyone's going to agree with it. Not everyone's going to maybe like what your interpretation is. My personal opinion is I try to just enjoy it. And I did enjoy Adventures. I do enjoy The Walking Dead, even though it's different from the comic. I've only seen one episode of Powers, but I enjoyed it, even though it was different than what the source material. Much like the latest Nolan's trilogy of Batman. Different to some degree, to a large degree than what I was accustomed to. And yet I embraced it because, hey, it was an interpretation that I wanted to give it a chance. Same thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just try to enjoy it. Which brings me to the topic, enjoying the journey. It's a bit of advice that I've seen, that I was given early in life, and like a lot of young people, I really didn't adhere to it. It's natural. I mean, we all want to focus on the destination. If you're on a road trip, you're focusing on where you're getting to. You're not focusing on the trip itself, especially if you're driving. I mean, you have so much to focus on with other drivers and making sure you don't get lost and so on and so forth, that you may not get that chance to enjoy it. But the passengers that are along with you on that road trip, you know, I remember as a kid going on road trips with my folks and just not enjoying the scenery, like being more concerned about just getting there. Same thing when I was young. Enjoying it, not enjoying it, wanting to rush through it, wanting to rush to grow up, to get out of the house, to graduate high school, to play the game, not worry about practice. I just was in a rush. We're constantly in a rush. When I was in college, same thing, just in a rush to get to the next party or to hook up with the next girl or whatever have you, and just not focusing on the journey at hand. Just be more concerned about the destination. I know that plagues me, and that is a fault of mine at times. I mean, early in my wrestling career, I was more concerned about matches than the actual practice, about the actual enjoying of the learning process. There were times, I mean, you know, when I first got in the ring and those initial days, enjoying it, but getting wrapped up in the destination. When's my first match? And then after that, when's my next match? And when I was in the match, not being really, maybe my first match really being in tune and remembering everything and the things that would resonate. That resonates because it was my first match. But as I got into more matches, they lost their specialness because I wasn't as concerned with enjoying the journey. I was just trying to get to the next thing. Now, when I faced certain names, that would be one thing. It would resonate. And when I faced Vampiro, it resonated. When I faced Christopher Nowinski, it resonated. When I faced Rodney Mack, it resonated. Now, that was for a title, so that was like another goal of mine. But I enjoyed it only for that moment, and then I just, went on, well, what's the next thing? When's the next challenge? Who's the next opponent? So on and so forth. Same thing with road trips. There'd be times where no matter how long the road trip, I would be so wrapped up in just getting there that I wouldn't enjoy the camaraderie and the journey a lot of times. Even though there's some stuff that sticks out when I would ride, when I ride up down the roads with Russell and Lumpy. And we would, we'd have our talks and stuff and carry on and talk about, really good stuff. And still just be myself, just being wrapped up in what was the next thing. I can remember being at NWA Southwest or EWF, outside of the names that I would face, there would be instances where I wouldn't allow myself to just fully enjoy it because I'd be so worried about the next thing, the next step, the next match, the next challenge, the next thing. Which plagued me to some degree. Now certain things would resonate for me. Certain things. The first time I faced Mike Fox, the first time we faced in, out of town, had to have that talk because we were part of rival promotions and how that would go, and I would remember that. Even when I got to PCW. I give you a really good prime example of where that would do me more harm than good. And as I look back, I really wish I had just really fully embraced the moment, been in the moment, and enjoyed it. I remember Genocide 2004, speaking of Mike Fox. I remember that match specifically. Man, I've seen it a couple times since, but I remember specific moments where I allowed myself to enjoy it. Now, mind you, leading up to it, we weren't the main event, even though we should have been because we were for the title. We were the main event of one DVD taping or one DVD part of a two-parter. So there was that. I was also thinking of what was going on in the match, there was so much to go on with that match. But I remember a moment where I want to say it was right before the end. Mike and I were both down, and I think I want to say it was right before we did the kip-up spot. And the crowd was just loud. And me and Fox both kind of like saying to each other, kind of, under our breath, like, man, we got him. And I remember at that point just being like, man, I just can't believe it. And even though I win the title, but it gets reversed and we restart the match, at that moment I was so ecstatic because I was just in the moment. You fast forward, the Triple X was 2004, sometime had passed. And I'm going through this tournament. I'm dealing with a bum knee, and I'm hurting from having wrestled two other guys, and I'm in the midst of wrestling this behemoth Hernandez, and I didn't embrace it. I was so concerned about so much other stuff that I allowed it to affect me. There I am, having finally won the big title, vanquishing the behemoth Hernandez, but I'm thinking back to what he had told me earlier in the day, where he said the company would close its doors in 6 months with me as champion. I focused on that. Focused on the pain rather than just enjoying the moment. Now mind you, the pain was real. My neck was hurting, my back was hurting, my knee was shot. I was dead tired of giving every ounce of myself. But I remember being so wound tightly that I didn't allow myself to enjoy it. And it took one person booing to change my joy of winning the title to anger, because they didn't accept the outcome. And that one voice affected me. Not enjoying my title run, being so wrapped up in what was coming next and when would it end, as opposed to just being in the moment, enjoying the journey, enjoying each and every match, or enjoying each and every promo, or enjoying each and every time. Case in point, while doing that, running uncut and not really getting a chance to, there'd be moments that I'd enjoy, but overall I was so stressed I allowed myself to be burned out because I wasn't enjoying the process of teaching, wasn't enjoying the process of creating, wasn't enjoying the process of seeing the talent that was there, being appreciative of the opportunity that they were given. That when I think back to it now, I think of it fondly, and I'm lucky that I remember most of it. I have most of it written down, and some of it really comes to mind. But there are opportunities where I know that I've helped other talent, get them on shows, put in a word for them, and then when that favor doesn't get returned, it sours the experience of working with them in the past. Rather than just enjoying the journey, enjoying what I had built, enjoying the building process, just enjoying the journey. I mean, I think back to like the IWE days. Being more stressed, being more concerned about what was next, as opposed to, again, there were moments where I would enjoy it, when I would work with the talent. But I remember like the first DVD release, we were going to have a party, and me just being stressed out and not just allowing myself to enjoy it, to take a breath, to take a moment. Just being focused more on the goal than what it takes to accomplish that goal. When I got hurt, one of the things I really wanted to focus on was enjoying the journey, because it was an abrupt type of thing. I mean, I was in the midst of stuff when my back started giving me such problems that I couldn't really perform. And I had to take that step back. And I tried to find myself just trying to enjoy it. And I started to enjoy it. Being a spectator, or being a host, or getting to work with talent, getting to like host an event, or be the guy like handling the event. I really enjoyed it. The road trips I would enjoy. Doing behind the curtain, I just tried to enjoy it. But then once that bug bit me and I started to feel better and wanted to get back to it, I told myself, just try to enjoy it. Don't get wrapped up in the negativity that the business can bring out at times. Know that today's not guaranteed and you just have to enjoy the here and now. And I really try to be like that. Tell myself daily, every chance I got, just enjoy the journey. Don't focus on the destination. And that is difficult, because even though I would tell myself that, there were times where I just wouldn't be right where I needed to be. Wouldn't be enjoying the journey. I'd be focused on what was next. Or I'd be focused on the negative rather than be focused on the positive. And I found myself and it would affect me. It would affect me greatly. I try every day to enjoy it. I think of like when I'm at shows now, if I'm consulting, or mentoring, or working behind the scenes of reality wrestling, being a producer, or when we're at meetings, or when I'm having conversations and I'm talking to talent, and talking to a talent about a potential reality show, and I try to focus on that conversation and just enjoying that conversation. Or talking to younger talent, younger than me, and we're talking about not just like some of the complaints that we would have about younger people, but I try to just enjoy those conversations, because I don't know. You never know when that time will end. I really wish that I'd been more of a proponent of it, and I'd really just try to enjoy it, rather than be so wrapped up in everything else. The journey, or the goal, or the destination, or some type of negativity, and just focus on enjoying it. So today I try to enjoy it. I take my workouts, for instance. There is a goal to finish that workout. But if you focus on just trying to finish it as fast as humanly possible, I found that I would hurt myself. And I'm like, now I have to take precautions when I am training. I have to make sure that I'm in the right mindset and I'm fully invested in what I'm doing at that particular moment. Because one wrong move, and that I could tweak my neck, I could tweak my spine, I could tweak my shoulder, I could tweak my legs, something. And it just sets me back. So I've really, like when I'm training, like trained this morning, I'm just focusing on that rep. I'm focusing on that exercise. Just focusing on that. And when I talk to talent, a lot of times I just tell them to try to enjoy it. And if I don't tell them, I try to mention it as much as humanly possible. I try to focus on the positive of things. And I try to tell them, man, just enjoy it. Because you don't know. When you're young, you think you got all the time in the world. And adults would tell me when I was young, man, just enjoy what you're doing at the current time. And I would be like, no, I'm focused on where I'm headed as opposed to how I'm getting there. It really, part of what brought this about was the Daniel Bryan situation. I said it on Facebook, I've been a fan of that guy's for a while. Since he was American Dragon, and he was like the Americanized version of Ultimo Dragon, and he was teaming with Spanky. And I went to one TWA show because this was before I was starting to wrestle. And I remember him and Spanky wrestling 3 times in 3 different tapings for that show. And once facing each other, and then they were a tag team, I believe. And but I was just a fan. I was a fan of those guys. And as Daniel progressed through, when he went to ROH, big fan of his. When he got signed and he was on NXT, and then he was part of Nexus and all that, through the hirings and firings and all that, I was such a fan. As he climbed the ranks, such a fan. And proud, man, because this is a guy from Texas. This is a guy who got to start with Shawn Michaels. This guy who's a genuinely nice guy who rolls with the punches and gets such a great reaction. Last year when he won at WrestleMania, and he opened and closed the show, and all the lead up to it, and regardless of how he got there, the fact that he was there, and the fact that the end image was him, irregardless of what people thought, the naysayers, what the company may have truly felt, the fact that he was in that spot spoke volumes. And then I'm watching Raw Monday. And it was just, you hope he comes back. You hope he takes a rest. You hope he gets healed up. I definitely hope he gets healed up. And that he's able to perform again. But I think for a moment, man, what if I just enjoyed it more? There are certain performers. When Shawn Michaels retired, the first time after WrestleMania 14, I just ached for the time that he would be back. I hoped for the time he would be back. When I met him, it was a dream come true. When he retired, I remember just enjoying all those matchups and you get to get on the network. I know it's a tendency for people to criticize everything, and sometimes that kills my enjoyment. I allow it to, rather than just be like, no, well, I like it. I like the network. I'm a fan of Raw. The wrestling I like it. I don't try to get so wrapped up because I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy the journey. So as I close this, again, maybe I'll release a video before Comicpalooza. Maybe we'll film our panel. But if you're in the area and you're at Comicpalooza Friday afternoon, 2:30, stop by, check it out. I mean, if you're a fan of wrestling and fan of storytelling, we'll be talking characters and such. And I'll go into detail about certain, not just successes, but failures. I definitely know we will probably discuss that. And it'll be I'm sure it'll be a great panel. And also that weekend with Reality Wrestling, I'll be there. And I'll be enjoying the show as the show's being put on, and enjoying my role backstage. Because I do enjoy it. I do. Some people question that, maybe. I do enjoy the creative process. I do enjoy working with talent. I do enjoy brainstorming with all the talent that I get to brainstorm, whether it be on promos or matches or whatever have you. Next week I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation from my job, so me and Sam are going to be probably going to Austin. I know we're probably going to go watch Avengers in Austin. One of their theaters up there that we've been really wanting to check out, and we just haven't had an opportunity, so I think we're going to get the opportunity to do that. Enjoying my workouts, I'm enjoying those, doing a little bit of therapy here and there as far as with the back, with the neck and whatnot. Those are becoming a little more common. I'm also doing some stuff at home to really try to catch any little tweaks here and there, but again, I'm really trying to focus with each workout. I'm still I had wrapped up the 30-day training session that I got. I mean, it's linked to my Facebook like most of my apps are. So if you see me on there or see the Body Space thing, and if you happen to download it, hey, friend me. Cool. The more the merrier. I know right now I restarted the program for the next couple of weeks. We're going to kick off a new program. I want to say Memorial Day we're going to kick it off. With Sam moving back, we're going to really try to train together, and I've enjoyed the opportunities that we've had to do it. We're also going to be focusing really more on the diet. I found that the diet is key, and after all these years and being stubborn, I'm finally realizing it and really trying to focus on it, but I love bad food. But I think I'm at a good point right now, and feel the momentum. More importantly, I'm motivated when I'm in the gym. I'm really there in the moment, and most importantly of all of it, I'm enjoying the journey. So to finish this off, I would tell anyone, just if you can't do it all the time, because it's difficult. I can't do it all the time. But if you're watching Raw, rather than critique it, just enjoy it. Try to. Or you see an event, just try to enjoy it. Or that walk to work, try to enjoy that. Just enjoy the journey. Enjoy the here and now. Be in the here and now. Because nothing is guaranteed. Nothing. I appreciate all those who take the time to watch these. I'm not sure when I'll do another one. Probably after, if not next week, definitely probably the week after, so I can talk about the last program I was on and what my thoughts were. I will say that I've enjoyed it, redoing some of it, and I'll talk about it a little more in depth in the next video, more than likely, unless there's other topics or something really piques my interest like this one. This was not a planned one. I just started thinking about it after seeing Daniel Bryan's promo on Raw, and I posted a little something on Facebook, and then thought, man, I really should bring that to light, because I mean, anyone who knows me, I do say that as often as humanly possible. So again, I appreciate all of you. If you've got any questions or any feedback, feel free to share that with me. Otherwise, until next time, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy. But you know what? If you are one of those that is enjoying the journey, then you already are that. All of that. Until the next time, later.